I'll kind of go a little bit into my story when I kind of really started to realize this. This was before I had my son. I started coaching back in 2018, and I had a bantam team. So it was 14, 15 year olds. I was, a lot of the trips that I went on, I was a guy, I drank a lot. Just to kind of touch that, I've been sober for 5 years, but it kind of started to stem from that. I put myself in that leadership role. I was kind of doing it for more selfish reasons than actually for the kids. Like I was there, I wanted to go, I wanted to win tournaments. I wanted to, go on these road trips and have fun with the other coaches and party and kind of be like that guy. And, once I started to do that, I started to kind of start to look at myself through their eyes and like, who am I being through their eyes? And I didn't like, the person that I was seeing when I, looked in the mirror and tried to look at myself through their eyes. I was drinking on the road. I was showing up hungover on the Sunday mornings. Like I remember one time specifically, I our game was at 8, and me and the other three coaches, we were sharing a room, and we went out the night before, and our phones were ringing all morning. And finally, somebody woke up at 5 to 8 to one of the calls. And we're all like, oh, like, what do we do? And they're like, where are you guys? And we're like, we're on our way. We made excuses. Obviously, nobody believed us. And we had all the equipment. Like we had all the balls and the bats and everything. So the kids had to borrow balls from the other team just to like warm up. And I was so like embarrassed by that. Like once I started to see that, I was like, oh man, like I don't really like what I'm seeing, who the person that I'm being to these kids. Because you're a lot more than just a coach teaching these kids how to be a good baseball player, right? They're gonna look at you as a human being as well and as a mentor and a role model. And if you're doing stuff like that, they're gonna think that that's like okay behavior when it's not. I remember even one of my coaches, he was a cool guy. He was like the cool coach. I think we were like 17, 18. And he would always like, get us like beer and we'd be drinking with him. And like at the time I thought that was so cool. And then, as I got older, I just kind of continued that path. I thought that was just like what it was all about, was like drinking and partying. And that kind of led me down to the path that I went down, where baseball wasn't really my number one focus. Even when I went to college, it was like drinking and partying was why I was there. Even though I was there for college baseball, it was like secondary to me. I was there for drinking. I was there for partying. I'd go to the practice. I'd work hard at practice, but it was like, okay, practice is over. Let's go drinking. Let's go partying. And that was just kind of like how I was brought up. I was surrounded by like alcohol and parties. Like I went to all like my mom's like slow pitch games, and there was like always people drinking. And then, my coaches were drinking, and it was just that environment. And so like that's kind of who I became, right? As I went through college and then eventually graduated and then, started my own thing. And then after being in that position, I just didn't like, I realized the impact that I was having once I kind of took a lot of self-reflection, seeing how I was brought up, seeing the way I was starting to behave. It just kind of mirrored the person that I didn't want to be. So I got sober, and that was 5 years ago. And I've been sober ever since. And ever since that, I've been really, really like preaching how important it is to be a role model. Because whether you like it or not, when you sign up to coach a team, you sign up to be a role model. You have more of a responsibility than just showing up to practice, showing up to the games, just being a person that, I'm just volunteering because my kid plays the sport. Yes, it's great. We need that, but you also have to realize that the impact that you have. Like I'm sure we all have coaches that we can remember that influenced us and impacted us, whether in a good way or in a bad way, right? We all have those coaches that we remember who we still maybe even say some of those things still to this day. And we also have some of those coaches who maybe told us something and we took it literally because that's what kids are going to do. They're going to take your words literally, and it just sticks with them for forever. And it can do a lot more damage or have a lot more positive impact than you think. So I think it's really important to know when you become a coach, when you become a parent, that you are in that role for a reason, and you have a responsibility and a duty to lead by example. Um, and you talk about environments, and if you don't want your kids to hang around with the wrong crowd, you want them to hang around with the right people and surround yourself with positive people and be in good environments. You have to do the same thing too. You're always so cautious about who your kids are hanging around, right? Oh, that kid's a bad apple. Like they're no good. They shouldn't be hanging around with that kid. But then you look at like parents will look at their circle, and their circle is worse than their kid's circle, but they're giving their kids the business because their kids are hanging around with this kid who's bad news. It's like, well, maybe look at your friends, and maybe, the kids are going to be influenced and impacted more by the adults that hang around than just the kids that hang around at school, right? Obviously, they're going to be impacted by that as well, but you're also going to be impacting them with the people that you let them hang around, right? So it's really important that you understand that.